Hello, everyone. My name is Ahad Hussain, and welcome to Titan Alumni Talks, a weekly podcast where we talk to alumni about their journey as a Titan and where they are today. Having been established in 1957, Cal State Fullerton is now nearing 300,000 alumni. Because we are a family of Titans, we should ask the question, who are our alumni? Join me every week as we meet some of our CSUF alumni from various industries to answer this question. For today's episode, we have Austin Nation as our guest. He graduated from Cal State Fullerton with a bachelor's in nursing in 2009, and then he got his master's in nursing in 2011 with a minor emphasis in education. And now he works as an assistant professor, and he is on his fourth year of doing so. So thank you, Austin, for being a guest on our podcast.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
So one of the first questions I wanted to ask you is, how did you get into CSUF?
I've been a nurse since 1982, a registered nurse. And Cal State Fullerton has always been the place to come for people wanting to go from an associate to a bachelor's degree. And so I always knew that this was the place to come. And so in nursing, there's not much of a pay difference going from an associate to bachelor's. So I put that journey off for many years. And so 20 years into my career, when they were moving towards bachelor's degree becoming entry into practice, that's sort of the new wave. And I was doing hospital supervision. I knew that I needed to come back to school, and that my bosses were pushing me back towards school. I knew that I needed to get an advanced degree, and so to my surprise, when I popped into the doorstep of Cal State Fullerton in 2000, I actually showed up here in 2004 in the School of Nursing saying, "Hey, I'm ready," and I was trying to figure out how to navigate the online profile because they didn't have computers as savvy as they did back in the 80s. When I went to school, they were just simply data entry tools. And they had said back then, the prediction was there'd be computers in homes. One in every home was the prediction back in the late 70s, early 80s. And I thought it was just a fad, so I didn't embrace it. Needless to say, I was wrong. So I had a hard time navigating the online application system. It was called CSU Mentor. So I popped into the School of Nursing for some assistance, and at that time, I discovered that I was not ready to come right directly into here with my associate degree, but because there had been that 20-year gap in my sort of academic tenure, if you will, that I needed to, there were some classes that had changed and I needed to go back to the community college to pick up. And so I ended up back over at Fullerton College picking up a few classes in order to qualify for admission here to the university, because apparently you have to get into the university before you can gain admission into the School of Nursing. And then so after I picked up those classes, then I was able to, 2 years later, to do the admission process here. And so that's what got me onto this campus eventually, and the rest, as you say, would be history.
I see. So tell me about the first time you got your associates. Did you know that you wanted to be a registered nurse from there, and where did you get it from?
My associate degree came from Long Beach City College, so
Okay.
shout out to Long Beach City College,
Yeah.
LBCC in the house. I love Long Beach. I moved from Milwaukee to Long Beach when I was 10 years old. So, and I just went to my 40th high school reunion. I graduated from Milliken High School in Long Beach.
Oh, okay.
So
Long Beach, born and raised.
Well, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin originally.
Oh, Wisconsin. Okay.
Yeah. So, but when I hear I've been in California since age 10. So, fifth grade on, I've been here. So, there's a lot of my childhood memories that are from being in, Wisconsin. But much of my, sort of years that I really sort of remember and cherish were here in Long Beach, and, truly the academic journey and my nursing career and everything else that's happened here in Long Beach, started in Long Beach, and really that's where my life changed. That's where the change really occurred. So I'm really grateful to my experiences in Long Beach. It started as like a candy striper. Working through a volunteer organization in junior high. They were offering opportunities for us to get some exposure in hospitals and doing a Red Cross Club kind of a thing. And it's just something kind of drew me to just helping people. And something about that I just found really incredibly rewarding. And my grandma I knew was a nurse, and she had always talked about that growing up. And my oldest sister got into nursing, and so I didn't necessarily know I wanted to be a nurse at that point in time. You didn't hear about many men in nursing, particularly many black men. That was almost unheard of at the time, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I knew that there was something about that I found rewarding, and so I ended up getting a job as a orderly. That was my first job in healthcare. It was as an orderly, which is essentially just helping move patients around and sort of being the muscle, if you will, helping nurses out, doing some of the heavy lifting stuff.
And that was right after you graduated from LBCC?
No, that was before. This was all my This was going from between 15 and actually getting into nursing.
Okay.
This is all my sort of years leading up to this interest in discovering what this nursing thing was going to go into. I mean, my interest, my sort of entree into healthcare was like this orderly gig. And prior to that, I was working fast foods. I worked at a place called Pup and Taco, which is a burger hot dog stand.
Called Taco?
Pup and Taco.
And they serve burgers and hot dogs?
Pup was hot dog and Pup and Taco. Hot dogs and tacos. That was
okay.
Pup and Taco. There was a couple of those in Long Beach, which was a little fast food, greasy spoon place. And that was my only other job outside of being a paper boy I ever did, like age 15, 16, 17. That would have been late high school, leading into this sort of pre-healthcare career, if you will. And really didn't like the fast food thing. Well, that's a greasy pit thing. You come home greasy, but you get good meals and food for free. I like that part of it.
Oh, they give you food for free?
Yeah.
Because now they give like the discounts. They don't really give you like free food.
No, we got a free meal.
Okay.
That was a draw. That was a draw. Getting the free meal, and I was a starving kid from the ghetto, as I tell the story, and so for us, meals were hard to come by. So those meals back then were lifesavers, and so I'm grateful to places like that in my journey that have been places that I remember, because for us to eat beans and stuff was not unusual. So I have those memories of what it was like growing up and having hard times, and being in a single parent household and stuff. So going to work early and getting work early and making a contribution to my family was what it was all about. And so everybody had to kind of chip in and do our best. And so working this little orderly thing after school was a great entree into healthcare, because they didn't mind. And they took some little program they had in Long Beach, and I don't know what it was about. It must have been some little program for high school kids where they let you do something where they paid you some after school monies, is what I'm remembering, to get some kind of job training thing. And I think all these little things really added up, I think, to giving you exposure, giving you experience, and letting you find out, at least in my case, if these are things that you're really interested in. And obviously for me, it really made a difference, because from that orderly position and discovering how much I didn't like that and seeing what the nurses did, I remember thinking that, I could do that, but that looked more interesting doing what they were doing. And so moving from being an orderly into something called a nursing assistant, where I did more direct patient care stuff, and interacting with patients. And I worked with, my first job was working with developmentally disabled children, and that was really rewarding. And I had, in that experience, a very challenging, antagonistic licensed vocational nurse, which would be the next level after that. That was sort of spurring me on. She used to say to me, nations with an S, she would add to my name. She says, like, you're never going to amount to anything, she would say. And I remember telling her, like, oh, one day I'm going to come back and be your boss, lady. And so now, I don't know if she did that because she saw something in me, which she later told me was what it was. But at the time, I'd never figure out why she just always seemed to be on me. And so when I got accepted into the nursing program right out of high school at Long Beach City College, and about a year into that program, I was able to sort of what they call challenge the board to become a licensed vocational nurse, which put me at her level. I was able to go back and sort of say, hey, now I'm at your level, and I'm on my way to becoming a registered nurse. I'm going to come back and be your boss indeed. And she was like, yeah, I knew you could do it. It was really, really, really sweet. And so, but it was those kinds of interesting people that I have met in this journey that I think were kind of the wind beneath my wings to some degree. But I really just found I don't know, something about nursing and doing this healthcare job that I just really found my passion. I found out that that's where my love was, and when I became a registered nurse and getting through that journey, it was the same kind of thing. The director of our program at Long Beach City College was kind of the same kind of thing. Back then there were like 3% of men in nursing, even fewer, or no, I think I was the only black man in our whole class. So again, very sort of an anomaly, so to speak, in nursing. And she was less than welcoming. And then when at the graduation ceremony, she was all of 4'5" or something, some little short little woman. And she, on the graduation, they were pinning us alphabetically. And when they got to around the ends, they went out of order. And so she ended up pinning me. There were 3 people pinning us, which is part of the graduation ceremony. They pinned us out of order so that I ended up with her pinning me. And so I'm 6'2", and she's like, "Get down here, big guy." And she's giving me a hug, and she's giving me a little pin, and she's like, "I knew you could do it," kind of thing. But it's like, it's interesting, these people that have come across my path who have been sort of, I guess that's their way of cheering me on, or I don't know. It's interesting looking back to see how that has played out in my life. But yeah, I'm really grateful to those people, because I think I would have been, based on what was happening with the other young men in my neighborhood, I probably would have been more of a wayward, lost boy, or perhaps prison or gang or something along those lines, based on what other little guys in my neighborhood were doing. Not many of us. I was kind of a book nerd and kind of the odd man out, so to speak, growing up as a kid.
I see.
So
I mean, there's a lot of like those cases where like either professors or coaches. I was playing rugby this semester earlier, and our coach, he would give the hardest time to some of us new guys, and then we would always be like, "Why are you giving us so much pressure and everything? You know, we don't really know the game." And he was like, "Because we see something in you, you know." But at least he was upfront at that time, saying that he saw something. That's why he's pushing us, or he's like making us do these drills over and over more than the other people, because he saw some potential. So I feel like that was the same thing with you, but they didn't like upright and say it. But they knew that if they pushed you or challenged you, then you would do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be perhaps a better way to do it. I don't know if it would be better telling people that up front or not. I mean, I think about that with my students today. Is it better that I would tell them? I'm actually thinking about a conversation I'm going into with a student next week, and I don't know if that's how that's going to be received, that I'm telling somebody this because I want them that it's going to be helpful, or will they not receive that as well? Or will they just feel like you're being hard on them and that they're being singled out to be picked on because they're being singled out, and why am I not picking on everybody? I don't know how that would be received. That's an interesting.
So you're talking about your
point.
students. So
Yeah.
what classes do you teach on campus?
So I teach across the nursing curriculum, undergraduate and graduate students. And it has varied each semester I've been here. I teach because I teach all year round. I'm technically a 10-month employee, but I teach during the summer as well. Yeah, it just depends on any given semester what they have me doing. I tend to work a lot in community health because I'm a community researcher. So that's something I request consistently, that I stay out in the community, because that helps me with the research that I do to stay connected to what's happening outside of the hospital with some of our community partners. I am now segueing into the lead for the leadership course for the undergraduate. That's because of my master's in leadership, and because my clinical background is in leadership, has been most of my career outside of my initial years working on the floor as a med-surg nurse. I went from that position into charge nurse, and then supervisor, which is an administrative position in nursing. So that lens is perfect for being able to articulate a leadership vision for students. So they're tapping that, because I still do that one or 2 days a month currently at a local hospital. So I can stay current and keep me current. And it gives me good stories to talk about, share with the students. let's see, health assessment is the other course that I teach, which is in our state-of-the-art simulation lab. I don't know if you've ever been over in the kinesiology building.
No, I actually
It's
haven't.
it's like a little hospital ward.
Okay.
They built that when I was a student here, and it's pretty amazing. I got to see them take out part of the men's gym and build, or men's locker room, I guess it was, and build a hospital ward here in the kinesiology building on the first floor. It's brand new. If you've never seen it, if any of the listeners have never seen it, it's something that they should go in and check out. To have that on our campus at the degree and the level that we have it at Cal State Fullerton is pretty impressive and pretty unheard of. There is not only is it like a hospital ward where our students can get, they were what we would call simulations or experiences with these high-tech sort of mannequins that can do all kinds of things like deliver babies or simulate being patients where they have changes in their vital signs and nurses have to in real time respond to these kinds of emergencies and get that kind of real life training before they go in hospitals and deal with real lives, which is really good. The question when they asked me like what courses would I be willing to teach was like, I graduated from 2 of your programs. So I feel like I could teach in those 2 programs, and because now I have a PhD, I could probably teach in your doctorate program as well, because now they have a doctorate in nursing practice, which is a little different than a PhD. They're different doctoral degrees. One's a practice degree, one's a research degree. But to some degree, I feel very, very, very qualified to take those practicing nurses through their academic journey as well. So I'm pretty open to teaching anything, but there are certain courses that I think I feel a better fit for, but pretty open to teaching anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this program you're talking about, is that just for the School of Nursing or is that also for undergrad?
The SPs?
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to, I think some of the other majors on campus are using them. I know a lot of what the coordinator in the simulation lab was doing before she retired was she was trying to open up to other majors, and I don't want to misquote anything, but I know they were offering it to some of the other disciplines around campus. They're doing something called, her big thing was interprofessional education.
Okay.
So are there other professions on campus that would benefit from this similar kind of experience? So for example, and I'm thinking she's using it with people perhaps, or it could be a benefit to those students who are perhaps in counseling field, right? If you're becoming a social worker, it could be beneficial for those students. These are students that would still be in our college, perhaps because we're all health and human development. Why do I think she may have been doing stuff with the ROTC folks? I'm not sure if she was doing, some of her stuff was helpful for them as well.
I feel like it could be relatable with them.
For them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because they have a lot of stuff with health stuff and their, what do they call them? Their health people.
Medics on the field.
Medics,
so yeah.
like them. Yeah, exactly. So I could see where that kind of learning environment could be beneficial beyond nursing. And I know that she has opened it up. I mean, like I said, it's, our nursing program here at Cal State Fullerton is so incredibly huge.
Yeah.
It's a big program. It has expanded in the 10 years that I graduated in 2011 the last time. And then I went away for 5 years to get the PhD and to come back. And I've come back to just even more continued growth. In the time that I was here, it was growing because they were adding programs, and I let them come back and they've added more programs. And so this, like I said initially, was historically a school that was known for just their RN to BSN program, right? Yeah. And then I left and came back, and now they're doing more stuff around not only their traditional bachelor's degree, now they're doing accelerated bachelor's degree. Now they picked up, like I said, this doctorate in nursing practice degree. They're doing all kinds of things. They're offering now, I think, the doctorate now for a nurse anesthetist. They're switching to now. And we're continuing to look at ways to continue to expand what we offer to stay current with what the needs are in the community and among the providers and healthcare facilities and agencies and systems that are in this area that we're here to meet their need, right? It's a partnership.
Yeah. So is there like a club for nursing, or was there one when you were a student?
It was not until I started it.
Oh, you did start it. Okay.
They didn't tell you that?
No, no one told me that.
Oh,
Okay.
I was like, yeah, I started the Nursing Student Association.
Okay, so tell me about that. How'd that happen?
Because when I came here and I was, when I went to Long Beach City College, I was right out, like I said, I was right out of high school.
Yeah.
And I was, I struggled to get through that associate degree program. I graduated, I was 20, I was youngest in my class. It was like, I was in class with people that were probably 40 and 50. There was a range of people. Back then, most of those nursing programs had a 2-year wait. They still do, so most of them still have waiting lists, if you can even get into them. Here we get some 500-600 applications for about 40, 50 slots. So there's still waits if people even get in.
For this school of nursing here?
Our school of nursing.
Oh, okay.
For fitting for our RN to BSN, that's always hard, incredibly difficult to get in. So when I got in here, what I had said was I was very intentional coming back to school at 40, that I wanted to have a different college experience this time around, because what I did from 17 to 20 was kind of a blur. I mean, for a number of reasons. One, I think it was because I was overwhelmed at 17, I graduated early high school. I went right into this community college. They bypassed this 2-year waiting list somehow for me. I got a D in science in high school.
They bypassed the waiting list for you somehow.
And they bypassed the waiting list for me somehow. But the agreement was with my counselor. I don't know how he did this. Another little blessing along the way. This rough, gruff counselor. I'm going to get you into that if that's what you want to do. He would sit and say to me, I'm going to get you into that program. I don't know how he did that to this day, how he got me into that program. And I often wonder if was this like one of those back in the day, they were big in my generation on what I call EEO, Equal Opportunity Employers, where they quotas, ratios.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's because I was black and male that I got into that program. I don't know if that's true or not to this day. I can't for sure say.
Yeah.
Today we call it diversity.
Affirmative action.
Or affirmative action, yes. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's how they got me into that program, because there's no way I should have gotten that program. Looking as I'm sitting here thinking to you and talking to you about this, I'm like, I got a D in science. I hadn't even gotten a high school diploma at that point in time. What I did was took something called a California efficiency exam is what they called it. It wasn't even a GED. California efficiency exam, which was some newfangled exam that they had that said, if you can take this exam and prove that you have the equivalent, because I was like, I'm out of here. High school, I'm out of here. I want to get on with my life and career. I got things to do. Was my thinking back at 17, right? And because I wanted to I wanted to go to college and had all these big ideas. But somehow he got me right out of that into this community college, right into this associate degree. So what the agreement was that I would have to take science again that first semester along with my nursing courses, and then I could get my high school diploma as well. And of course I didn't care because I already had the equivalent exam, but I was going to come back for graduation with my peers anyway, which I was going to do anyway because I had graduated early. I graduated in January instead of June, so I was still going to come back anyway. But I ended up getting a D again in biology, but I just had to retake that class again and get a B the following semester. But they ended up giving me my high school diploma. I have a high school diploma hanging on my wall to this day. I'm like, so I'm not. Maybe my memory of the details are very fuzzy still because it was so long ago. But I know I did that course twice because I looked at the transcripts and I know I struggled with biology and I struggled with science. And I say that because oftentimes I think people will think, one, I'm first year into college, which I need to also say. So the path hasn't been easy. My grandma was like a nursing assistant, so she was entry-level nursing because for women, black nurses, my grandma was a slave. Oh, okay. So education for her was real taboo. So that's another whole thing as I think about what kind of nurse she was. In terms of her nursing and being a nursing assistant, but education for black people was, in her generation, was like taboo. So it was interesting for me to look back and see my own struggle with science that if someone would have said to me back then, oh, one day you're going to have a PhD and be a professor, I'd have told them they were probably
joking.
Crazy
No
than
way.
crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I say that to say that with enough perseverance, you can achieve whatever goal that you set your heart and your mind to, and then circumstances can line up and work in your favor. But when I was clear after that experience that I wanted to have a different college experience when I got here. And when I came here that first semester, and we all came to the RN to BSN program, many of us were lost when we got here, and there was nobody to show us the way. There was no sort of big sister, big brother mentorship, any of that stuff happening. So a group of us got together, and I was the leader of the pack because I was the older one. I came back, like I said, at age 40, and I was probably the oldest one in my cohort. At the time, because we were cohorted then, which means we all went through together. They don't do that anymore, and some of the programs we do, but most of the RN to BSM people now can come in. You come in part-time, full-time, you come in, and the advisors over there are incredible. They'll tailor a program to your life, your schedule, and they'll make it work and they'll get you through. But we were still cohorted, and we were like, we need to do something about this. And so we decided to start the Nursing Student Association because there was no club on campus that really addressed nurses on campus. There was no, there were a lot of clubs. I remember going up to the student affairs or student clubs and orgs place where they gave us I wanted to look at all the student orgs. I wanted to see as a student here, like, what are my opportunities and offerings? I want to get involved. I'm not going to be one of these students who just come to campus and go home. They kept saying it was a commuter campus. I didn't believe that. So I wanted to get my money's worth. That was the other phrase I kept saying. I want my money's worth out of this experience. So I decided that we needed to start our own group because our focus was different. Our focus was specifically about nursing, and more important for me, it was about how we could unify all of the programs across the nursing curriculum and figure out how we could support one another across the curriculum. So what we started to do was we started to have a dedicated student group, which meant now there was some funding there that we could get. So we could have events on campus. We could have speakers come in that were in line. We had our own health specific, our nursing career fair that was tailored for just nursing because they have a campus career fair and all these other things. But again, for us, it was like, well, what can we do once we finish with these bachelor's degrees? Because now it opens up different opportunities. And the people that were getting, back then they had something called an entry-level master's degree, and those students wanted to know what they could do with their newfound, they were getting an RN and a master's. They wanted to know what they could do, and so we were pulling them in. And then there were, back then they were calling on pre-license, pre-nursing is what they were ticking them off as, but they were not even part of the School of Nursing. They were people out in the general campus who were, still doing all of their pre-science, all the GE stuff, who were not even being sort of collected by the department because they were not capturing them then. And so we were doing Discover Fest and all this other outreach to them to say, hey, we're here to let you know that we're here and we want to be able to show you the path, right? Because no one showed us. And so, that's what we did, and we set up a mentoring program, Big Sister, Big Brother program, which was really awesome. And then I partnered with a group called the Flying Samaritans, and they were coming out of UC Riverside.
What'd they do?
They were doing a health clinic in El Hongo, Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Once a month, they wanted RNs, and not all the groups, not all the nursing cohorts have RNs, but we did. We were the RN BSNs because we were all working out nurses, which is not the case today. But we were all working nurses that had RN license, which is what they needed. They needed people with RN license to go down to this little village in Mexico, and they would come get us at 3, 4 in the morning. We would bus down to Mexico, and UC Riverside had pharmacists, pharmacy students, doctor students, dentists, dental students, I believe. We were their nursing people. And we would go down and we would set up this little clinic with sheets, and it was crazy. And people in this township would come, and we'd be there all day providing free care. It was almost like a group called Physicians Without Borders. I don't know if you've heard of this group. It's a comparable group.
I see.
where people you adopt a town or a city and you go and provide free healthcare on an ongoing basis. So they're providing glasses, free medication, free health screenings, free all of this stuff, and they needed nurses to be able to help them with that front stuff of those initial assessments.
Yeah.
So it was a great partnership, and for us as nurses, it really broadened our lens of what, like, most of us were. I mean, we were working nurses. You're used to getting paid for stuff. So what a way to get back to just the world, right? And so for me, I remember when I went, it was just eye-opening to see such. I mean, I don't know. You realize how
fortunate we are in America.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you go to a place like that. I never forget the little village we went to and seeing that little town and going, wow, like these people have nothing, and they would line up for us they'd be in line like almost all day to see us to go through this little free clinic that we were providing, whatever it was that we were providing for them that day, right? Just to be seen for whatever their ailment was, and what's different though is, like I said, the nurses that are a part of NSA today have shifted because they don't get the registered nurses that they have gotten, that they have then. Because a lot of the nurses we get now, even in our AD and the BSN program, they're not experienced. They don't have, you can't work in a community setting you can't go to a rural setting like that as a new nurse without any experience and feel comfortable. You got to be able to have people who have experience and can operate without what I would call the bells and whistles of a hospital. And I'm a community nurse, so I like that. I don't need all those. I have my eyes, I have my hands, I have nursing tools and stuff that I can use in the community, that I can look across from a person. You can see stuff, and you can use the basic tools of nursing. That I don't need all those monitors. I don't have to rely on those skills to assess a person. But I think, unfortunately, students become so hardwired to think that that's what they need to
be a good nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So what is a community nurse? Like, what do you do exactly with that?
Community nurse is the wave of the future of nursing, is what I call this. Is where we're moving towards. A community nurse is that we are taking nursing care to where people live, work, play, and pray. That's the mantra.
I see.
So instead of providing care, currently in the United States, we're providing most health care in hospitals, in the life care. When you get sick, you come see us.
Yeah, we come to you in a hospital.
We do the lion's share of your care when you're sick or dying. That's where it mostly occurs. Where the movement now is towards doing more on the front end. So prevention and wellness. How can we encourage you to quit smoking? Community nurse. How can I have a conversation with you? One, I need to have a conversation, do a health screening, find out about your lifestyle, your practices, your diet, education resources, before you get sick. So I need to come to where you are, because before you get sick, right?
Because I'm not going to come to you before.
You're not going to come to me. Heck no. Yeah. You're going to feel you ain't coming that way.
I'm completely fine. Why would I come talk to you?
But I come out to you right now. Our public health crisis is vaping, right?
Yeah.
And people are dying from vaping and smoking. We always know that was a hazard. But if we come out to you and find out you're vaping, or maybe your diet or lack of exercise, or perhaps I come into your home and there's some environmental things going on inside your home I would never know. One of our big things is in hospitals, we see patients coming back around. Why do they keep coming back and back and back? Somebody probably needs to go out to that person's home and see what's going on in that home, right?
Yeah.
Right? Is it that they don't have caregivers? Do they not have resources in the home? Is there some circumstances that are going on in the home? Maybe they're in a home with 20 other people, or maybe the home is filthy, right? What are the living conditions, right? You don't know that until that nurse in the community gets out there. Hospital nurses are not going to go do that, right? And it's not home health, because we're not going out to provide health care. That's a different segment of nursing, home health. I'm not providing health care to you when you're sick again. That's home health. I'm coming out as a well person to say, I'm just coming out to check on you, and right? Kaiser does a great job at wellness and prevention. Kaiser, I love Kaiser for that. Kaiser was pioneers at wellness and prevention. And they have continued to trend that way, and other places now are coming behind them. But when we come out as community health nurses, maybe you've had a new baby, maybe you've had some blood work that you don't understand, maybe you had your annual physical, maybe you just had a question that maybe it's just your annual flu shot, right? Maybe it's just a reminder about that. Maybe it's immunizations for your kid, maybe you have questions, and oftentimes people don't come see us or don't have an opportunity to have those questions answered in a visit because those visits can be very rushed, right? But if you have an opportunity, as I tell my students that I just was working today and we were giving out flu shots.
Today I saw that.
Flu mist to students. And we're doing it all over Orange County and Riverside County, and we're doing them for free in most places, right? They need nurses to do that, to administer that, because that's a medication. So by law, you need registered nurses administering medication, or you need registered nurses or pharmacists to administer those things.
This is like part of the prevention before people actually get sick. Yeah. So you go out, you give them the flu shot. It reminds me a bit of like the Red Cross, because no one's going to come in to give blood. They won't come into their local blood bank. But if they bring it on campus, it's 2 feet away from me. I can just walk in real quick, get it done, and then it's super easy with that. And then, so you kind of like pioneered the whole nursing club and expanding it through there, because it didn't seem like anything was there before you went in.
Nobody. That is my legacy. That one, and then starting the nursing alumni chapter was my gift after I graduated, was to start a nursing alumni chapter, because when we graduated, we were like, well, we want to stay involved, we want to stay connected, what can we do? So I have been keeping up the nursing alumni effort, which has been a more daunting task, because keeping people connected to us after they graduate has been a bit harder. It was really harder for me when I was in San Francisco, because I wasn't in the area, so a lot of I'm relying on social media on my phone to help me with. But I've always had a good amount of folks that are seeing the posts. We have a Facebook group that's there for nursing alumni that are seeing this stuff. What has really been helpful for nursing alum and getting some of my peers back, which I'm really excited about, has been when we started doing the Alumni Association a couple of years ago, when my first year back here as faculty. They were doing some funding to do some, what do they call it? Titans Across Generations was what it was called. And then when I wrote it up, my proposal, I called it Titan Nurses Across Generations. And so we were able to bring back nurses from 1970s, some of the people that were here from the 70s all the way to 2010s.
I see.
Together for our first Titan Nurses Across Generations conference, and it was amazing. And since then, that event, and then since I moved back home, as I would call it, and getting my faculty job here, my dream job back here at Cal State Fullerton, as I call it, because this was like hometown boy made good. I'm really so grateful to be back at Cal State Fullerton. I love Cal State Fullerton. I've gotten another colleague back here, a couple of them back now, who have inquired about coming back now and reaching out to me about coming now back here as faculty. And that's always, I was talking to Justin here about, the idea that we're educated here and we work here and we're alums, that's a double win for us, right?
Yeah.
There's something that if I can be in front of a student and talk about my own experience here as a student, and now I'm back as faculty, to me, it's got to be different for a student, I would imagine, hearing it from us versus hearing it from somebody else who didn't do this journey.
Because you went through everything,
right? Especially when I can say to them, like I do, when I did this class you're in, right? Because I remember so vividly doing some of these classes that they're in. I mean, some of them have changed a bit, but the idea, the concept is still there. And how I've been able to use that since my time here, I can share with them that experience, right? In a way that I think if you've not done it, I don't know. I just think it would be hard to speak to the same way if you don't know our curriculum, right?
Yeah. So you've experienced both as a student and then as an alumni, seeing it back, and then also as a teacher and a faculty there. So tell me some of the difficulties that came with going back to school where you were around like 20 years older than all the other students. How'd that work? Because you were also working at that time, right, as an RN?
No, I was not working.
Oh, no.
I pulled out of working. I wasn't working at that point in time.
Okay.
I won't say what I caught the little 20-year-olds I came back to school with. I was the little 20-year-olds. That's what I called them. What would you say? That's a nice thing to say. I'm recording little 20-year-olds. I was 40. They were 20. So they were a lot faster than I was. Their brain synapses fired a lot faster than mine.
Yeah.
I struggled. I mean, they helped me navigate, like I said, the computer world, how to learn how to use, PowerPoints, put together a Word document.
Yeah, because it would be 20 years since you were last in a classroom setting, and then coming back in, same like subject, but it's
I'm old
different.
school. I was when I did research when I last left research stuff, it was going to the library, and we had something called a card catalog you go through, and you talk to a librarian.
Oh, to find the books or
to
anything.
find the books, and you go to a shelf, and you pulled the books, and you left with a big stack of books, and you threw them in your backpack, and you went home and went through them.
Oh.
Or you use the big books of books for something called encyclopedias. We all have encyclopedias at home. We were fortunate enough to have encyclopedias or get your hands on some, and they were like the equivalent of what would be your internet. They had everything about any topic you want to look up would be your encyclopedias. And so coming back and navigating World Wide Web and learning how to use all this stuff and technology and was very, very, very different. I think that was probably the biggest challenge, coming back and learning how to use the, what do y'all guys call it here? Moodle?
Yeah.
Moodle?
Yeah, Moodle.
Titanium is what the fancy name they called it here. Yeah. Because it was different than it was in the community college over there. They called it something else over there at the Fullerton College. They called it something else. It wasn't the same as the platform that I used over there. So it was a lot different here. This was like Fullerton College on steroids here, because I was able to get through my little 1, 2, 3 classes over there pretty easy. Being in class with students that were so bright and so personable and so engaging, but we all, the field was level because we were all struggling. None of us had ever done this journey before, and so we were all struggling and figuring out how to do this thing. And there was a clinging to each other like I had never experienced before. And we would meet, we would go over to TSU. And we would, when we got our little, once we got our little club started, and we could go have lunch together. So we wouldn't go home because we're here. So we could say, let's at least get a meeting room and have a meeting and have a speaker, or figure out what we needed. Have somebody from Career Center come talk to us. We had to figure it out. And, but I am so grateful to those folks then, because I think that if I had just taken the idea that this is a commuter school, that I just would have came here, got my little education, and went home, that I would have missed so much of what this school has to offer, because there's so much more to Cal State Fullerton than just coming to this campus and leaving. If you were just coming to Cal State Fullerton, getting your classes and leaving, you were missing out on a whole heck of a lot more on this campus than
was offered or that
that's
they were doing.
offered, yeah.
And admittedly, I was one of those. My first 2 years, I would just come on campus, get my work done, and I would leave as quick as possible. Because I was told it was a commuter campus, unless you dormed here, there wasn't really much for you to do. But then, I realized this year when I joined a lot more things, I'm like, why was I missing out before? I could join sports, I could join Titan Radio, I could work on campus doing this. There were just so many things that are always going on, and I was just blindsided by it. Even though it was right next to me, I was like, oh, gotta go home. That was always the main focus. And it seemed like you still passed the barrier of the age difference. It didn't seem like it stopped you or anything.
I didn't. I went to the Adult Reentry Center. They were a part of my support here. They were a huge part of my support here, because I used them as a place to go where there were other adults coming back to school.
Were there any in the School of Nursing when you were getting your bachelor's here?
I think I was the only one in my group.
Oh, okay.
So I went to them because I needed to find others on campus and understand the language of adult reentry and what that was all about. This also helped me write scholarships, which I'm really grateful for, because I did a lot of my education funding through scholarships and grants. I ended up getting the CSU Sally Casanova Pre-Doctoral Scholarship. in my master's years to go on for my PhD, because you realize that there's places, there's pockets of money here that people don't apply for, but you don't find out about these unless you're connected to groups and orgs that do them. Yeah, who else did I tap into? I was working with the gentleman who started, because of the ROTC thing we were working with. There was a gentleman at the time, God, I can see it, Joseph Chang, who started Student Veterans Association, and that group has grown tremendously, and they still honor him as the founder. I was founding the Nursing Student Association. He founded Student Veterans Association, and he was trying to talk to me, and we were partnering at the time because, again, that close relationship with nursing and military. And so our two groups were doing some stuff back in the day, or trying to do some stuff together. So I remember sitting in a veterans group, in his group, talking to his folks about stuff. I was in all kinds of places on this campus. At least went to explore it. If I didn't stick with it because I didn't feel a strong connection and affinity with it, I went to check it out to see if there could be a potential place of support for me in my journey.
Yeah, but that's really cool how you at least dabbled in at least some of everything, because you never know what's going to stick.
I wanted to be a Greek. I even thought about being a Greek, and I looked at some of those groups and I thought, I think I'm really too old. I'm like, I should have, which I didn't. I don't know. I have mixed feelings. There was one of the professors I talked to was trying to get me. There's an African American fraternity. I won't remember. I don't want to say the name because I'll mess it up. But I know they're purple and something. And there's an African American sorority that a lot of Black women are part of, and he was trying to get me to be a part of that. That maybe is one of the things I regret that I didn't do. But I was so involved in so many other things that I thought, you know what, I wasn't feeling the need to have to identify and be connected with a cultural group from that perspective as a place of support. I'm a Black man in nursing. I've not had to rely on race as a place of support when I'm working with 90% white women. That just has never been something I've longed for or had a need for. It's never.
Because you already dealt with it before.
It's never been a place where I said, well, I really need to find cultural support from people who look like me or resonate with me to feel like I fit in. That's just never been a concern for me. It's just, I march me out in the world, and and what you see is kind of what you get. And so
I see.
It's just always worked out way best for me. And
So throughout your career, I wanted to ask you, how has your idea on success changed since you were an orderly in high school, then going to LVCC, and then Fullerton, and then now?
What popped in my head right now is I think that if someone would have told me as a little Black boy that I would ever grow up to see a Black president in the United States, I would have told them that they were crazy. It's a parallel to that as a little Black boy saying, if you would have ever told me that I would ever have achieved this degree of success in my life as a doctoral degree professor from one of the best universities in the country, working at, to me, the best university in Orange County, I would have told you were crazy as well.
Yeah.
Because I am a D science student. I am, right? My philosophy was if you couldn't see it with a naked eye, it wasn't worth seeing. And that was so wrong. So success can be achieved even if you can't see it at the time. I think that what has saved me is the ability to be able to continue to dream beyond my wildest dreams. And then you have to do some work. And you have to put in the work. And it takes some perseverance, and it takes some determination. My thing was, when I came here, I said, when I came back, I said, because I wanted to be a case manager, I was clear about what I was going to do here.
Okay.
Let me just see if I can get this bachelor's degree. I was 40.
Yeah.
Let me just see. I'm an RN. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's not going to make me a whole lot more money, right? Like I said.
Yeah.
But let me just see, right?
Yeah.
If I could do it, right? Then I got near the end of the bachelor's, and I had a bunch of professors. I won't even name any names because I get emotional because there was so much love in this department here of people who, when I came here as the old guy, and they met me and loved me and saw my passion for what it was that I was doing here, who supported every dream. I will say one, Dr. Penny Weissmuller, who's now our interim chair. She was my, there's two I will acknowledge, Dr. Penny Weissmuller and Amy Nelson, who was my academic advisor then. Those two people, Amy Nelson guided my academic path, and Dr. Penny Weissmuller and Amy were both the only two people when I said to them this idea of starting this Nursing Student Association dream, who said, they'll come behind me. Because a lot of people are like, we did it before, or now it's not gonna work. And I got a lot of naysayers. And those two people said, if you wanna do it, we'll help you. We'll come behind you. And I am so grateful to them to this day, because they showed up in a way that went above and beyond during my time here, and they have continued to. In fact, I was just texting Amy yesterday saying we're overdue for lunch. I'm missing her, and I just need to spend some time with her. She's still here on campus. She's done a few positions since then, but since I've been back, she's like one of my biggest cheerleaders. She's been, when I was gone, when I was here, she's just someone that I adore. Same thing with Dr. Weissmuller. And they're just people that, there's like people here that are just in your corner, and they have been from day one. Dr. Guerin, Marianne Guerin would be another one that I would mention. And on the record, she was my graduate advisor, and she's another one that Professor Ringo, Karen Ringo, was another one. There are just people that in this school of nursing that have helped me in my path, that just showed up big time for me as a student here. I remember telling Professor Ringo, I was like, I came back to school. I said, I want to see if I can do this bachelor's thing. When I was doing my bachelor's, I said when I was finishing the bachelor's and thought I wanted to teach, she said, I needed a master's, I found out. And I said, well, I'll teach online so I don't have to show up to campus. She let me shadow her for an online class. And same kind of thing. It was kind of the same thing. She said, I know your personality. That was not going to be you. And she let me shadow her and do a class for her during a summer. And boy, I hated it. Because you don't get to know students. You just see names. And it was like such a disconnect for me. But they gave me those opportunities for me to get clear of this vision about what I thought I wanted to do. But people that just showed up and went above and beyond to help me. And when I came back as faculty, they were there welcoming me back. I just sat with Professor Ringo a couple weeks ago, and she again was just sharing her wisdom with me, and it's amazing. Some amazing people here. So
it just shows how profound of an effect some professors could have on students if the professors put in the work, because I know a lot of professors, they just teach the class in the most bland way, and they don't really help out or care too much for the students. But then there are the professors who go above and beyond, and they're there with the students. They personally call them into office hours, take them out to lunch, and just keep them connected in ways that at that time it doesn't seem like a lot to the student or the professor, but maybe in a few years down the road it could change the whole student's life.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm giving back a fraction of that in those students that I work with. I think I am. I feel good I am. That's what was given to me. Like, how can I not pay that forward, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Is there any quick tips you would give students right now, like 2 or 3 to end it off? Like currently on campus, or maybe trying to get into the nursing school, or maybe like trying to figure out their passion or where they want to major in?
For nursing, the nursing, good news. Nursing has historically, like I said, been a very difficult program to get into because it's so impacted. Yeah. We're going to something called holistic admissions it's starting in the fall of this year. Okay. Next year. fall of next
Yeah.
year, where we're looking at historically what they've been looking at is just the top GPAs as a few other things, but GPAs for the most part have weighed pretty heavily in the total application process, along with some of the other things. Where now we're looking at, in addition to the GPAs, top GPAs, but we're also looking at our strong statements and strong interviews.
Nice. Oh, you're doing interviews now.
We are.
Oh, that's going to be a little difficult, but
Well, why do you say that? I'll tell you why I say this as faculty. Why do you say this?
are there not like a lot of students that you need to interview, or are you making
That's
like
why I say that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So I'm just thinking
So
in a
it's
realistic
gonna be a lot.
way.
It's gonna be a lot of essays for us to read. They're asking us, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be a lot of students that we're gonna have to interview. We're hoping that by doing this new thing that is some kind of grant, I think someone got to do holistic, what they're calling holistic admission, that we're going to be able to get a more
A complete picture of the student.
of the you said it better than I did. Like a richer depth of student, not like the think, a more diverse student than just the high
number.
GPA number student that perhaps people are. And my heart warmed up because maybe it'll be people like myself, because I didn't have the high GPA. I clearly was not that student with the high GPA, and I'm like, looking back, I'm wonder how I got in. I don't know, because I clearly wasn't getting in back then on a high GPA. For graduate school, I had to ramp that sucker up, and for a doctoral PhD program, you had to ramp that sucker up and maintain it. But and you have to work hard. But for students, like you're asking the message for students, the hope is that now for people that are thinking about wanting to be a nurse and perhaps been discouraged because their GPA isn't that high, that they've had that dream, that perhaps this holistic admissions process will open up a possibility where perhaps there was none before, if they have the ability to articulate their story through a written essay, or they have the ability to interview well and articulate their story. That will work this is their opportunity, their window of opportunity to perhaps shine in a way that they were not able to be seen before, for lack of better phrasing.
Yes.
So if you have that dream and you have always wanted to become a nurse, and as I say at Cal State Fullerton School of Nursing, we do a quality education at an affordable price compared to some of our other proprietary nursing schools around the area, and perhaps give us another chance. Talk to some of our advisors here. We have some great advisors in our advising office who can point you down the path and see if now might be a good time for you to come our way.
All right. Is anything else you would like to end it off with?
Proud Titan forever. That's all I ever say. Proud Titan forever. Thank you for this opportunity.
All right. And with that, we're going to end the episode here. Thank you so much, Austin, for joining us this week and sharing your experiences, your wisdom, and all that you know with us students at Cal State Fullerton. I know a lot of to-be nursing students who will really benefit from your advice and just your knowledge with it. So if you would like to connect with Austin and other Titan alumni, make sure you join Titan Pro Network, which is our very own Titan LinkedIn site. Students and alumni can connect among our Titan family to get career advice, have your resume reviewed, and even find a mentor. So join Titan Pro Network today. If you have missed any of our episodes, check them out on our YouTube channel by searching for CSUF Alumni. And be sure to watch this live every Saturday at 4 p.m. on Titan Radio for Titan Alumni Talks.